The story begins on a cold morning in the middle of a big crowded city. People were walking fast, cars were honking, shops were opening, and everyone looked busy with their own life. But in all this noise and rushing, there was one girl who walked slowly, very slowly, as if she did not belong to this world. Her name was Aisha. She wore simple clothes, held an old bag in her hand, and kept her eyes down every time someone passed by. She never looked at anyone directly. She always tried to hide herself like she was scared of being seen. In the crowd of hundreds, she looked like a small silent shadow. But that day, someone saw her. His name was Ryan. He stood on the other side of the street, waiting for the light to change. He was just an ordinary young man with a simple life. Nothing special. But his eyes were soft, and his heart was even softer. While everyone walked past Aisha without noticing her, Ryan stopped. His eyes followed her for a long moment. He didn't know why. He couldn't explain it. Something about that girl made him look twice. Aisha walked with her head down, moving carefully like she was afraid she might disturb someone. She held her bag close to her chest. Her steps looked tired, but there was a strange calmness in her face. Ryan felt something. Not love, not yet. But something close to it. A little pull in his heart. But then something strange happened. Aisha suddenly stopped in the middle of the road. She looked confused, like she forgot where she was supposed to go. People bumped into her, cars honked from far, and someone shouted at her to move. She stepped back quickly, almost dropping her bag. Her hands shook. For a second, she looked lost and scared. Ryan's heart almost jumped. Before he even knew it, his feet started moving. He took one step, then another. Something inside him said he needed to go to her, maybe help her. But before he reached her, Aisha slowly lifted her head. And that was the moment that changed everything. Ryan saw her face clearly for the first time. Her eyes looked tired, but they had a soft shine, like a small hidden spark. Her cheeks were pale, her lips dry. And then, she smiled. It was not a big smile. Not a confident smile. Just a small, gentle smile. But that one smile was enough. Ryan felt like someone froze time around him. It was the kind of smile that comes from a pure heart. A shy smile. A broken smile. A hopeful smile. A smile that showed pain, but also light. He did not understand why, but his chest felt warm. He whispered to himself, "Who is she?" Aisha didn't smile at him. She smiled to hide her fear from the people around her. But Ryan didn't know that. For him, it felt like the world had paused. But in the next second, a loud horn broke the moment. A bus rushed past. Aisha stepped back again, shocked. The street returned to its normal chaos. Ryan looked around, trying to find her again. But she had disappeared somewhere in the crowd. He searched with his eyes, but she was gone. Yet the image of her smile stayed in his mind, like a soft light that refused to fade. And that was the beginning. The beginning of a story he did not see coming. A story of two different people from two different worlds. A story that started with fear, and a shy smile. Ryan did not know her name. He did not know her past. He did not know her pain. But he knew one thing very clearly. He needed to see her again. And destiny had already decided that he would. Aisha did not know that someone had noticed her that morning. She did not know that her small shy smile had already touched a stranger's heart. For her, that day was just another day of survival. She walked through the narrow streets, holding her old bag close to her chest, and tried to disappear into the crowd again. Aisha lived in a tiny broken room at the end of a long street. The room had a single window that did not close properly, a thin mattress, and an old table where she kept all her hopes. On the wall, she had pinned small paper notes with her dreams written on them. Study again. Find a better job. Help mother. But day by day, those notes became older, and her dreams became quieter. She was the kind of girl who felt invisible, not because she wanted to be, but because life had pushed her into silence. When she was a child, she used to talk a lot. She had big dreams and a bright smile. But people around her changed everything. She grew up in a poor neighborhood where children often laughed at her clothes, her quiet voice, her simple wishes. They called her shy, weak, even useless. And every word stayed inside her heart like a small wound. Her mother worked as a cleaner, waking up before sunrise and returning home late. Her father had left many years ago, leaving only debts and sadness behind. Aisha never blamed her mother for anything. She loved her deeply. But she also knew that life had been unfair to them. When Aisha turned 16, she wanted to continue studying, but they could not pay the school fee. She tried to find small jobs, cleaning houses, washing dishes, packing boxes, anything she could find. But she spoke softly, and employers often told her she needed to be more confident. She tried. She really tried. But her voice always broke when she spoke to strangers, and her hand shook when someone shouted near her. So she continued working small jobs for very little money. Every evening, she returned to her small room and sat quietly by the window, watching the world move outside. Sometimes she wondered if she would ever escape this life. Sometimes she prayed for one person, just one, who would understand her without judging her. But she never expected that someone had already noticed her. Someone who had seen her smile in the middle of chaos. That afternoon, after the incident near the road, Aisha reached her workplace, a small bakery at the corner of a busy market. She worked there part-time, cleaning tables, packing breads, and sweeping the floor. She liked the warm smell of fresh bread. It made her feel safe. But even at the bakery, she spoke only when needed. Her co-workers often said, "Why are you so quiet? Speak louder." Aisha only smiled and nodded. But inside, she was tired. That day, her boss asked her to deliver some packages. She agreed and stepped out into the noisy street again. The sun was bright, but she felt cold. She walked with small steps, holding the packages tightly. On her way, she passed the same place where she had seen Ryan earlier, but she did not look up. She believed no one ever noticed her. But destiny was quietly moving. While she walked through the market, memories from her past rushed into her mind. She remembered sitting alone in her school corner while other children laughed together. She remembered hiding behind books so no one would talk to her. She remembered the nights when she cried quietly because she felt like she was not enough. But still, she smiled. She always smiled, even if it hurt. Because she believed that one day, life might change. One day, her smile might find meaning. One day, she might not be alone. She did not know that day was already coming closer. She did not know someone was searching for her. And she definitely did not know that her life was about to change forever.
Ryan walked through the city that same afternoon, but his mind was not in the present. His thoughts kept returning to the shy girl he had seen in the morning. He did not know her name, her story, or her world, but something about her felt familiar. Like a memory he didn't remember, yet somehow recognized. Ryan lived a very different life from Aisha, but he was not rich or powerful. He was an ordinary young man with a small apartment, a simple job, and a small circle of friends. He worked at a bookshop near the main market, a place filled with old books, soft music, and the warm smell of paper. The bookshop was peaceful, and Ryan liked peace more than anything. People often said he had a gentle nature. He never shouted, never judged, and never ignored someone who needed help. But what people didn't know was that Ryan's calmness came from years of pain. Years he never talked about. When Ryan was a child, his father passed away suddenly. His mother raised him alone, working day and night just to survive. She always taught him one thing: kindness is never wasted. Ryan listened to her, and those words became a part of him. He grew up understanding struggle, loss, and silence. Maybe that was why the shy girl's smile touched his heart so easily. He knew the language of quiet pain. That morning, after seeing Aisha, he tried to focus on his work. But every time the shop door opened, he looked up hoping it was her. Every time footsteps stopped near the window, he wondered if she was outside. Even while arranging books, her face came back to his mind, her shy smile, her scared eyes, her soft steps. He whispered to himself, "Why am I thinking about her so much?" He didn't have an answer. But something inside him felt connected to her. A connection without words. While dusting the shelves, he remembered something from his past. When he was younger, he used to be very quiet too. Not shy, but silent. After losing his father, he found it difficult to talk to people. He kept everything inside. The teachers called him too quiet, classmates called him weird, but he didn't care. Only his mother understood him. Maybe that was why he felt something when he saw Aisha. She looked like someone who had learned to live with silence. In the evening, when the bookshop closed, Ryan stepped outside and walked toward the market. The sky was turning orange, and the air felt cold. He walked slowly, hoping he might see her again somewhere in the crowd. But she was not there. Still, he didn't stop thinking about her. He began observing small details around him: a girl selling flowers, a boy carrying bread, a man fixing a cart. Every face reminded him of unknown stories, but none of them affected him like Aisha's face had. He wondered who she was, where she lived, what she feared, what made her smile like that even if the smile was weak. Later that night, Ryan visited his mother. She lived alone in a small house outside the city. When he walked in, she noticed he looked distracted. She asked gently, "Is everything okay?" Ryan sat down beside her. "I saw someone today," he said softly. "A girl. I don't know her, but something about her felt different." His mother smiled. "Different can be beautiful." Ryan nodded, but inside he felt confusion. Why did he feel so deeply about someone he saw only once? Why did his heart react so strongly? His mother placed a hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes, life sends people into our path without warning. Maybe she is someone who needs help, or maybe she is someone who will teach you something new." On his way home, Ryan kept thinking about those words. He looked up at the night sky and wondered if destiny had started writing something for him. He didn't know that the girl he saw was fighting her own battles. He didn't know she was hiding pain behind quiet smiles. He didn't know their paths were already moving closer. The next morning began quietly, yet something in the air felt different. Aisha walked toward the bakery with the same slow steps, but her heart was heavier than usual. She did not know why she felt watched, not in a bad way, but in a strange warm way. She tried to shake the feeling away, but it followed her like a soft shadow. Ryan, on the other hand, woke up earlier than normal. He kept thinking that maybe fate would let him see her again if he simply moved through the day with open eyes. He walked to the bookshop, but his gaze kept shifting toward the streets outside. Every sound of footsteps made his heart react, as if he believed she could appear at any moment. By late morning, Aisha was asked to deliver bread boxes to a small cafe near the market. She agreed, though her hands trembled a little. She stepped outside with the packages and started walking through the busy crowd. The noise surrounded her, but she had learned to live inside her quiet bubble. She did not expect anything unusual to happen during this simple delivery. But destiny had its own plans. As she crossed the street, the wind blew gently, and the same soft feeling returned, like someone's gaze touched her. She lifted her eyes for a moment, just a small moment, and her heart stopped. Across the road, near a book display outside a shop, stood the same young man from yesterday. Ryan. And he was looking directly at her. Aisha froze. She did not know what to do. Her first instinct was to look away, but something inside her refused. She kept staring for a second, her heart beating fast. Ryan hesitated, then slowly raised his hand in a small friendly gesture, almost like a wave but softer. A silent question passed between them: should they talk, or should they walk away again? Before she could decide, a loud call from a vendor startled her. She blinked, then hurried forward with her boxes, trying to escape the moment. But her steps were shaky. She felt the weight of his gaze behind her, not heavy, just warm. She kept walking, but her mind no longer moved in silence. For the first time, someone had looked at her without judgment. Ryan watched her walk away, surprised by the rush of emotion inside him. He wanted to call out to her, but he feared he might scare her. She looked like someone who could break with one harsh word. So he chose a gentle way. He followed her from a short distance, not to disturb her, but to keep her in sight. Something deep inside him told him she needed understanding. Aisha delivered the boxes to the cafe, but her hands shook as she placed them on the counter. The owner asked if she was okay. She nodded quickly, afraid to explain anything. Outside, she saw a small reflection of Ryan in the glass door. Not close, not far, just there. Her heart felt strange, scared yet safe. No one had ever cared enough to simply stay near her before. When she stepped outside, their eyes met again. This time, Ryan took a brave step forward. He spoke softly, almost like he feared breaking the moment. "Are you all right?" he asked. His voice was warm, not heavy. Aisha felt her throat tighten. No one had asked her that question in years. She nodded slowly, unable to find her voice. Ryan looked at her with gentle eyes. "It's okay," he said softly. "You don't have to talk." His kindness broke something inside her, not in pain, but in relief. For the first time in a long time, Aisha felt seen. Truly seen. And as they stood there, surrounded by noise, their silence felt strangely safe. They did not know it, but this was only the beginning for them both now.
The days after their first conversation passed slowly, but something inside both of them had changed. Aisha still walked through the city with her usual shy steps, yet her heart felt lighter. Even though they had spoken only a few words, Ryan's gentle voice kept echoing in her mind. She had never met someone who spoke to her without judgment. She had never met someone who noticed her without reasons. Ryan also felt a strange new feeling inside him. Every morning before opening the bookshop, he looked around the street hoping to see her. He did not know why he cared so much, but he did. Maybe it was her quiet sadness, or maybe it was her brave smile despite everything. Whatever it was, it pulled him toward her again and again. One afternoon, Aisha finished her shift early at the bakery. Her boss gave her a small envelope with her weekly pay inside. She held it carefully because it was the only money she had to support herself and her mother. She stepped outside, and the sun felt warm on her face. She decided to take the long way home, hoping to avoid the busy crowds. But that was the day everything changed. As she walked through the narrow alley near her house, she heard a familiar voice behind her. A voice she never wanted to hear again. "Aisha, long time." She froze instantly. Her heartbeat went wild. She slowly turned her head and saw Sajid, someone from her past. Someone she feared deeply. He used to bully her when she worked at a warehouse 2 years ago. He would shout at her, insult her, and even take money from her when she was too scared to speak. Seeing him again made her knees shake. He stepped closer with a cruel smile. "Look at you. Still the same scared girl." Aisha's hands tightened around her envelope. She wanted to run, but her legs would not move. Sajid looked at the envelope and smirked. "Payday, huh? Let me see." She shook her head. "Please, no." But he stepped closer. "Come on. You know how this works." Tears rose in her eyes, but she stayed silent. People passed the alley, but no one stopped. No one cared. She was invisible to them. Her past pain returned like a heavy storm. Before Sajid could snatch the envelope, a voice echoed from behind. "Is there a problem here?" Aisha turned slowly. Ryan stood at the entrance of the alley. His eyes were calm, but his jaw was tight. He had seen enough. He walked forward without fear. Sajid looked annoyed. "Who are you?" Ryan didn't answer. He just stepped in front of Aisha, shielding her completely. "Leave her alone." Sajid laughed. "Oh, so the shy girl found a hero." Ryan didn't move. His voice stayed soft but firm. "She said no. Now go." For a moment, it looked like Sajid might fight. But Ryan's steady eyes made him uncomfortable. He stepped back. "Fine. Keep your little friend safe." Then he walked away with a mocking smile. The moment he left, Aisha broke. Her tears fell silently because she had held them for too long. She covered her face with trembling hands. Ryan turned to her gently. "You're safe now," he said softly. Aisha shook her head. "No. I'm not. I always have problems. I always cause trouble. You should stay away from me." Ryan felt his heart break at her words. "You don't cause trouble," he said slowly. "People cause trouble to you." She cried harder. "I'm nobody. I'm not strong. I can't fight. I don't want to be a burden." Ryan placed his hand near her, not touching, just offering comfort. "You're not a burden. You're someone who needs a little care. That's not weakness." For a long moment, she said nothing. Her breathing was uneven, her hands still shaking. But she looked at him with eyes full of silent pain. Ryan whispered, "I'm here. And I'm not leaving." She did not know why he cared. But for the first time, she felt she did not have to face her fear alone. After that terrible day in the alley, Aisha's world began to shift, not suddenly, but slowly, like a dark sky turning into morning. She still woke up early, still walked through the crowded streets, still worked long hours. But something inside her had changed. She no longer carried her pain alone. Ryan's presence had created a small light in her life, a light she had never expected to find. For the first few days, she kept her distance from him. She felt scared of her own feelings. She believed someone like him did not belong in the world she lived in. But even then, he stayed near without pushing her. He would wait outside the bakery sometimes, pretending he was just passing by. He would smile softly if she looked at him, and sometimes she gave a tiny shy smile back. One evening, after finishing her shift, she stepped outside and found Ryan leaning against a street lamp, holding 2 cups of warm tea. When he saw her, he lifted 1 cup toward her. She hesitated, but her cold hands reached for it. The warm cup felt like comfort she had missed for years. They walked slowly along the street, not talking much. Ryan didn't force questions. He simply walked beside her, matching her quiet pace. After a long silence, Aisha spoke first. "Why do you help me?" Her voice was soft and afraid. Ryan smiled gently. "Because everyone deserves someone to stand beside them." She looked down, unsure how to accept such kindness. She whispered, "I don't know how to be strong." He looked at her with steady eyes. Strength doesn't always mean fighting. Sometimes strength means surviving. Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were not painful. They were soft, healing tears. Over the next few weeks, their bond grew stronger. Ryan introduced her to books from his shop, simple stories about brave people with quiet hearts. Aisha began reading them slowly, discovering new worlds inside each page. One evening, she surprised him by reading a short paragraph aloud. Her voice shook, but she tried. Ryan smiled proudly. "See, you're growing." For Aisha, it was the first time someone believed she could become more than her fears. But the biggest change came when Ryan encouraged her to apply for a job at the cafe. She refused at first. "They won't choose me," she said. "My voice is too soft. I don't know how to talk to customers." Ryan looked at her with warmth. "I'll help you practice." So they practiced every evening. He asked simple questions, and she answered slowly. They practiced greetings, taking orders, even smiling with confidence. Some days she gave up halfway, but Ryan never lost patience. "We'll try again tomorrow," he always said. Finally, Aisha gathered her courage and went to the cafe interview. Her hands were shaking, and her voice broke twice, but she kept going. When she returned outside, Ryan was waiting. She didn't need to say anything. Her small proud smile told him everything. She got the job. It was a small step, but for Aisha, it felt like a new life beginning. At the cafe, she met kind people who supported her. Customers appreciated her gentle nature. Day by day, she learned to speak louder, smile openly, and walk with a little more strength. One evening, after her shift, as she stood outside with Ryan, she looked at him with shining eyes. "You changed my life," she whispered. Ryan shook his head. "No. I only held the door. You walked through it." Aisha felt her heart warm in a way she had never felt before. Slowly, she lifted her face and gave him the same shy smile he had seen on the first day, the smile that had changed everything. But this time, the smile was brighter, stronger, filled with hope. Ryan looked at her with quiet admiration. He had not fallen for beauty or perfection. He had fallen for her heart, the heart that had survived storm.